All right, everybody. Welcome to Q&A Social Security Disability Today, Part 2 for March 6, 2011. Make sure I get my dates right. And as I indicated before, I'm doing a rare two-parter because I had a number of questions posed to me today, and they were fairly complex, and they weren't ones that I felt like I could answer in one video, and I didn't want to bore you to death. So for those of you who are interested, go back and check the other videos because the first video I actually addressed are VA educational benefits counted as income for purposes of SSI. How can I modify my child support due to my disability? And how can I survive without my doctors and medicines if child support is affecting my benefits? As always, keep the questions coming. These questions this week, I literally had to do a little extra research because these are areas that I don't usually get into a whole lot. So I wanted to make sure I provided you with some good information. Now, next question. Do I have to pay back family allowances to Social Security if I go back to work? For those of you who don't know, if you are an insured worker for purposes of Social Security disability benefits, if you're receiving disability benefits, you get an added dollar amount for your kids. It's usually an extra 100, 200 bucks more than what you normally get in your own check, and that goes specifically to them. Now, here's where that payback may come into play. If you go back to work and you don't tell Social Security that you're going back to work and you create an overpayment, then if there was money they paid you, that was also money that they paid them that they shouldn't have paid. That's where it usually comes into play. The payment for family allowance is usually not allowable under the Supplemental Security Income Program. Because remember, this is a need-based program. So if you're on SSI, there should be no payback money for your kids because you shouldn't be getting any money for your kids. So that should answer your question for that. Now, second part of that was a trust has been designated for me or designed for me to keep Social Security from taking it. Is that legal? I'm glad somebody asked this question because usually this comes up in the context of supplemental security income. Remember, when we talk about disability benefits, most of our focus has been on are you an insured worker, which is DIB, disability insurance benefits, or are you a welfare recipient, which is supplemental security income, because that's basically what it is. It's a need based program. Social Security has an interest to make sure that your monies that you receive from your disability benefits are used to your advantage. So there's a couple of ways that they work it. Under the DIB program, the easiest way is to create a representative payee, somebody who receives your money on your behalf, make sure your bills are paid, medications are purchased, and all that good jazz. For that purpose, a trust may or may not be necessary. More likely not, because monies that you receive from other sources typically have no impact on disability insurance benefits. Remember, that's money you paid into the system as an insured worker. SSI, different beast, because almost invariably any money that you get could possibly be counted as an income or resource against your SSI. I know I got some confusion, but let me kind of break it down even better. Let's say you've been found disabled for SSI and they award you 600 bucks a month. Then out of nowhere, you realize that one of your cousins who's looking out for you says, "Oh, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna shoot you $400 a month to go with your $600, so you can have $1,000 to live in." Now you over here doing the happy dance, like, "Hey, what your mama know?" But all of a sudden, you're realizing that even though they're sending you 400, you're only getting still 600 because SSI has reduced it by 400, and you're freaking out. Well, the reason why they've reduced it is because you're getting monies from another source, and that is counted against the $600 you received. So it's like this: $600 from SSI, $400 from your cousin. Once SSI is aware that you were getting $400 from your cousin, they're going to reduce your SSI by that 400. So what happens a lot of times is, in the interest of making sure, and this is where sometimes the trust pops up, if by some reason you get a large lump sum of money, Social Security, typically for SSI programs, can terminate or suspend. Let's say not suspend, can suspend your SSI payment until that money is paid off or paid down. If it's not paid down within 12 months, they can terminate your benefits altogether. So imagine your situation where you're sitting here, a loved one passes, they leave you $15,000 to $20,000. Well, what do you think is going to happen when that money hits? SSI is going to go bam. Until you show us that you paid down that money, we're not going to give you a dime more of SSI. So you're freaking out because that's your Medicaid, that's your treatments, that's your monthly allowance. Well, what happens is a special needs trust can be created for your benefit. And let me tell you why that's for your benefit. Let me explain how a trust works because sometimes people don't realize. A trust is a legal instrument. It basically is a tool that is utilized that takes particular property that is being held, and it's typically distributed in such a way for the benefit of an individual. So you have the trust, which is the actual property itself, the trustee who is responsible for maintaining and actively disseminate monies from that trust, and then the beneficiary. So let's look at it like this. So you got $15,000. That would be you would put that into an instrument like a bank or something like that, and that is the trust. The trustee is a third party who is responsible for making sure that whatever the guidelines that have been established for that trust, whether money can only be used to be spent on food or medications, things like that, they're responsible for making sure that those parameters are met. The beneficiary is the person who benefits from it. So, for instance, if John has a disability and his Jane is the trustee, if the trust is set up so that John only gets money and he doesn't get the money, meaning the trust can only be used to take care of paying for, let's say, medications for the month. He has a monthly medication bill, like $200 a month. Then every month, Jane, as the trustee, will take care of writing a check out from that trust to pay for those medical records. Pay for those medications. This way, the fact that he got $15,000 does not count against his SSI. So he still gets his monthly SSI, he still gets his Medicaid, and the fact that he's got $15,000, which is set up in this very well-defined trust. And for those of you out there who are wondering about this, you need to go to an elder lawyer or someone who does probate for setting these up, because they have to be set up in a very defined way, because if not, the money received from that trust that goes to the beneficiary may be counted as an income, which may reduce the amount of money they're receiving. It's really funky because that's why they call it special needs trust, because some trust, the monies you receive can be counted against you. So it's important to recognize that. For those of you who wonder, is that legal? Yes, it is. And it's actually to your benefit, because if not, what happens is that people who find themselves receiving large lump sums of money would literally have no recourse to be able to keep that money in a particular way and still receive their SSI. I know that was a little convoluted, so if you have any more questions, by all means, hit me up. All right. Someone asked, what if you're on unemployment while applying for Social Security, Disability, or SSI? This is my number one issue now in today's economy, is how do you reconcile both? Meaning unemployment, when you're applying for unemployment, you're telling the government that you can work. When you apply for Social Security, you're telling them that you can't work. I know this is going to sound like a very lawyerly answer, but let me break it down for you like this. It depends on the circumstances. I have news for you. When you're going before a judge, who typically is the final decision maker with a lot of these things, you got to be prepared to explain what the circumstances were surrounding why you applied. And the judge is going to make a credibility determination. If you apply for unemployment because you thought you could do something, and then the next thing you did is apply for Social Security, that may have an impact on the judge a little bit more than if you apply for Social Security, you was trying to get your smooth on and get a couple of extra benefits from unemployment. So if you don't have a representative, I would encourage you to get one to talk to you about the ramifications of your situation, because every judge views it a little differently, and the law as it relates to Social Security is not consistent in terms of how judges should interpret unemployment. Okay? Now, final question. I'm filing for Canadian disability benefits. How do I know if I qualify? This is the first question I've gotten regarding a disability program from out of the country, and I want to thank you for it. Unfortunately, I don't have the expertise to provide you guidance on that, but I can provide you information about this. That actually lends in part to the fact that a lot of people apply for disability benefits under various disability programs. Let me be the first to tell you this. If you're applying for disability benefits under a different disability program. Here's what I tell people to do all the time: find out what the requirements are, because everyone's different. VA disability is different from long term disability. Long term disability is different from workers' comp. Workers' comp is different from state disability retirement. They are all different, they all have different criteria. So, what you want to do is that if you're looking to apply for disability under a particular program, contact that agency, ask them what the standards are in order to receive benefits. And that will serve as a guiding post to help you make that decision. Again, as always, keep the questions coming and going. You guys made me work today because I literally had to do a lot of research to make sure I gave you good information. As always, you know you can visit my website at www.reevesfirm.com. Hit me up here or hit my blog at legalbeat@anthonyreeves.com, and I'm here for you. Thank you for your questions. Look forward to your next one.